Joy Breakfast, the nation's favourite rainbow breakfast show.
You're on Joy Brekkie with Brett, Tim and Nige. That, of course, was no more. Greg Gould, Kate DeRouge, Adam Noviello and the incredible Kween Kong.
Who we now have joining us. Kween Kong has taken the world by storm with her incredible performances and powerful message of inclusivity and representation. You know her from Drag Race Down Under, and now she's back on our screens in the highly anticipated RuPaul's Drag Race Global All-Stars. Welcome to Joy Breakfast, Kween Kong.
Oh, my love, stop it, I'm shy, don't.
Oh, I'm sure. Now, we've just been told that you've just arrived on an early flight this morning. Where have you been since this Global All-Stars launch? What's been going on in the world of Kween?
Oh, well, I've been all through Europe and through like the UK and and through the States and Canada as well. I've been on a mini world tour campaigning for Down Under. Gonna get us that crown, my loves.
Yes, absolutely. Look, we're so excited to see you on Global All-Stars. How did it feel to get that All-Stars call and be able to represent Down Under on such a huge international stage?
Oh, look, without sounding like an arrogant twat, it felt right. You know?
It felt correct.
I was anticipating it because obviously, you know, me and Hannah and all the rest of the girls after the season, we've been working very hard, especially here in Australia, you know, trailblazing a pathway for us drag queens in mainstream media. And so when the call came, I went, listen, I'm ready. I want a crown and I want some money.
Yes.
Now, for those listeners who haven't seen the first episode, there's a bit of a spoiler alert here. Your lip sync battle against Alyssa Edwards was nothing short of iconic. How did you feel when they announced you were up against Alyssa? What was going through your mind for that performance?
Oh, look, I knew at some stage through the season they were going to make me and Alyssa lip sync against each other. Obviously, Alyssa she's a world-class drag entertainer and has been a lip sync assassin from, you know, the Logo TV days when they were, you know, not on streamable TV. And so me being the dancing diva of Down Under, I could feel that they were going to be putting us against each other. And so I wasn't betting on it being on episode 1. Nonetheless, I was excited. And, you know, I had a couple of tricks up my sleeve for her and definitely let them all out in the kitchen sink, so it went really well.
Now, we saw one of those tricks, which was that incredible mid-air twist that you did. How did you learn to do that?
Oh, this is the thing. Before I was a drag queen, I was a professional contemporary dancer, which is such a, you know, which is so funny because it's like when you can't dance anymore because you've gotten a little bit fat and old, you become a drag queen. That's the one skill that I can still do without dislocating my pancreas. So, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Comparing your experience on Global All-Stars with Drag Race Down Under, what were the biggest differences in terms of competition, challenges, and overall vibe?
Oh, this is the thing, you know, it's the world's largest drag competition now. It's 12 different countries, 12 different queens, you know, and so with that being said, with the 12 different countries, there's lots of different representation, different cultures, different languages, different references for drag, you know, and I was really bringing out Oka, bogan drag, cheap drag, which is what we get, you know, we get a lot of crap in the Drag Race universe for being the really cheap, low-budget version of, you know, Drag Race. But the thing is, we are those things, you know, we are low budget, we're cheap, but the thing that they can't deny about us is our charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent, darling. So
yes.
That was the thing that I packed in my suitcases and I gave it to them every friggin' day.
Oh, and we've been eating it up.
Amazing.
It's so great to have representation and just that really thick, like, accent. Like, g'day, mate. It's fabulous. We love it.
Yeah, and also, like, our humor obviously is very pointed, and so, you know, me and Hannah Conda and Spanky Jackson, we like to go for the throat, and I think most of these girls, it took them a couple of days to sort of get used to my sense of humor, because, you know, my love language is, you know, pointing out all your insecurities.
Brilliant.
So RuPaul is such an iconic figure in the world of drag, and you've been fortunate enough to be on 2 Drag Race seasons hosted by him. Did RuPaul give you any memorable advice or feedback during your time on the shows?
Oh my God, you know, Ru was super. I think if anyone watched Down Under, they would have seen that RuPaul gave me a lot of. Gave me a lot of love, but she gave me a lot of tough love.
Yeah.
You know, and a couple of the things that she really sort of helped me with was, you know, there was a version of Kween that was very not really used to being on TV, but also struggling with, her own self. So I couldn't get out of my own head. And so lots of the things that she spoke to me about was shame, and as a queen of color who has navigated an empire, I've heard versions of her advice before through therapists and, close friends, but there was something about being at Drag Race and hearing some of the lessons around shame, around guilt, and also just about, believing in what you have and just, trusting in that. Because I think majority of queens of color like myself, we always kind of undermine ourselves, or, we like to make ourselves lesser in a space. And so she really helped me to, believe in my shine, but also know that me shining next to other people isn't going to dim anyone else's light. So that was the thing about coming back for Global. I was really excited to show her, what that advice has done for me in the past couple of years. And I think she saw it in the first episode, and you're just going to see it throughout the whole season, as it flourishes.
Do you think it was more believable because it was coming from a person of colour giving you that feedback as well?
Yeah, I definitely think it has a lot to do with it. And I think, of all people to idolize, she really has created an empire. And so I really do admire what she's done for herself. And so any kind of advice that she gave me, I just sort of, I believed her because I've seen that she's done it in her own life. And then also, being few queens of color here in Australia, being able to get that one time with her in our small little shack in New Zealand, really set me up to feel really capable. So when I walked onto the global stage, which was massive, it took me about 20 minutes to process that I actually felt like I was doing Drag Race rather than the Adelaide Fringe Festival. So it was such an eye-opening experience and just really humbling, yeah.
Joy Breakfast. All the big LGBTQI stories and interviews from around the nation and the world.
We are chatting to the incredible Queen Kong on the line.
Queen Kong, thank you so much for joining us today. I have to ask, you've been such an advocate for inclusivity and representation throughout your career. With this international platform that you've now got with Global All Stars, have you thought about, the kind of impacts you could potentially make moving forward? Does that kind of factor into your mind with this?
Oh, big time. I think the thing for me, some drag queens are the life of the party. Other drag queens are amazing entertainers. I'm definitely two of those things. But, I'm more the drag queen that stands at the front of the protest and throws the bricks. That's in my style. I think taking up space on the global stage and also representing Down Under, I'm representing two countries, New Zealand, Australia, as well as the South Pacific, which is where I'm from. And so, I had a lot of responsibility. And I think the way that I've always done my drag was using it as a way to speak to the marginalized communities that don't necessarily get the time of day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to touch quickly on what is now the infamous flag dress moment. The Aboriginal flag being displayed upside down. It did spark quite a conversation. I'd like to hear your intention for the dress and how you responded to that backlash that kind of came.
Yeah, this is the thing, my intentions, and I think anyone that's known me across my entire career, this is not something that I've been doing for 5 minutes. I've created a whole career based off of advocacy and also speaking to the times. And I think politically, when I got the call for Global All Stars, it was when the referendum was happening, and I was looking at our community and just going, God, I'm representing a country that is so, one of the countries, Australia, that is it's so upside down in its ways, and so how do we reflect, the times, but also sort of look at hope for the future. And I think I use that as an opportunity to, speak with some elders and get some consultancy, but also go, how can we speak about the experience now in 2024, as queer people of color, Indigenous people, what is our reality like here in Australia and in New Zealand? And so the intention with the dress was to, reflect the times for us. And I think for us at that time being upside down, it felt like, there was just a disturbance. And so the main thing we wanted to look at was this idea of a disturbance, and regardless, walking proud and continuing to move forward, and hoping that things will settle eventually.
I guess for me, Queen Kong, I had no idea that presenting a flag upside down was considered offensive. So I learned something from your moment. Is that something
totally.
that you kind of realised through talking to Mob and people like that?
I think that the thing is, it's like the whole community in general is divided because there's some people that were offended by it and some people that weren't offended by it. They understood what the sentiment was and the intention. And, I respect all, all feedback that I received, but again, like my intention has never been about discrediting or disrespecting any communities that I work with. And, my long line of advocacy and also creating spaces for all of these communities, speaks for itself. And so I definitely take on the feedback, but I do hold fast in my intention in the first place and using my platform. The bigger I grow, the larger my platform builds. There's always going to be people that are going to be picking apart the ways that I do what I do.
Yes.
And until people get to my level, and have the platforms that I have, it's not really necessarily something that they can, pick apart until they're at the space where you're going, I don't not only have to reflect Australia, but also New Zealand and the Pacific. There's a lot of people that I'm representing on this main stage. And so the whole intention was honoring. And I still, understand the feedback and what people were upset by, but I also know what my heart and my intention was. And I stand by the decision.
I think that's fantastic. Now, Can we talk about your music for a sec? We played Greg Gould's track No More with yourself and Kate DeRouge, as well as Adam Noviello, who you collaborated with. You've just released Global Savage as well. Can we expect a lot more music in Kween Kong's future?
Oh my goodness. So, all of a sudden, this is the thing about Drag Race. All the drag queens end up going, you know what, I'm going to release songs and I'm going to be a recording artist, which means they're just making songs on GarageBand. I've definitely caught the itch. And I think with Global Savage, that was such a collaborative effort. And like with the flag dress for the first image, the talent show, which is what I won with that track, it was definitely a image of going, how can we reflect something from our perspective as specific people, on the main stage of RuPaul's Drag Race? How can we show language? In my image, I said to Paul Mack, who is a legendary composer.
Love him.
Amazing.
Songwriter, like everything. I just told him, I said, my image is that, the audience is going to see 4 colonial pirates arriving on seashores that don't belong to them. And then this big Pacific deity, warrior queen, walks out of the bushes and absolutely beats the crap out of them.
I love that.
And so when I said that to him, we just started riffing back and forth. We looked at some words. I had Jamaica Moana, who's an incredible independent artist, Māori Samoan descent, based here in Sydney as well. She wrote lots of the words with me and sat with me and mentored me through the writing process. I had Prenny Stevens, who's, an artist in her own right as well, singing all the background vocals and laying, the foundation for, what is, our culture, which is built off the back of strong Pacific Island women. And so, it was definitely a love letter to where we come from in the Pacific, and also our sort of perspective being seen on the global stage. So you'll definitely be seeing more music and more of this sort of village, that created the song, coming together and giving more perspectives. I guess that's the thing that I wanted to showcase the most, our perspective.
Fantastic.
So for up-and-coming queens who look to you for inspiration, could you think of a single piece of advice to give them?
Yes, yeah. I think with anyone wanting to get into drag or just wanting to get on stage or any of it, just to get out of bed in the morning, these days, I think your intention is everything. And I think that the thing that I've always stayed true to is my intention. You have to work really hard. I work harder than most people that I've met. And I think, that married with, having a small circle of people that, will hold you down, but also tell you the truth when the truth is hard to hear. These are 3 recipes that'll help you succeed in whatever you do. It's important to have anchors in your life. It's important to know what you want to achieve and why you want to achieve these things. And I think, drag, if that's what it is, that intention and that purpose will help you through the hard times that will definitely come. Because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
And I love that piece of advice, like people around you who keep you honest and will just be honest to you. Fantastic.
They're the ones you want to keep around.
Yeah, they are.
Exactly.
And lastly, what's next for Kween Kong? Any exciting projects or performances on the horizon that we should be looking out for?
Oh yes, we've got a big national tour coming in it's still embargo, but it'll be released in the next couple of weeks. But that's coming in the next couple of weeks with In the Dark. Very exciting. I've also been working on a line of children's books that will probably be coming out at the end of the season as well.
Oh, fun.
Great.
Yeah, and just between us, like I've also been creating a little foundation going towards this idea of a drag defense fund for us here in Australia. So there's 3 big projects that I've been like manifesting, working, putting all my money into that will be probably coming out towards the end of this season of Global All Stars.
Fantastic. Queen Kong, thank you so much for chatting to us on Joy Brecky.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.